Check. Right, this is fantastic, and hats off to you guys with the AI agent. Just a quick check. So let's say, for example, when it's working on already developed prototype application, would that use the model training from what the application is already about? Is that something that we need to be aware of?
So if I understand your question, you're asking, are we training the model based on the application that you have built?
Yeah, that's right.
Not today, no. Today we do not use user applications to train the model. What we might use is how you interact with the bot, so the questions you ask and everything, because we want to learn how people interact with the bot, but we're not using current application data to train the models.
Hi guys, thank you very much. Really looking forward to the releases with your AI features. As I imagine more of us build increasingly sort of integrated apps, just in terms of the API connector, what's there with the roadmap in terms of functionality, both standalone and with the AI you're releasing, and also with design?
Yes, great question. I mean, the AI connector hasn't gotten as much love as you would hope, given how important it is for applications to connect with everything out there. So we currently actually have something that is just started, where we're modernizing what the editor looks like, the API connector looks like, which involves, first of all, getting it out of being a plugin. That's something that has just happened out of because of history, but shouldn't be that way. Moving it into its own tab, and then making it more in line with the rest of the different tabs in terms of how it looks. When it comes to AI, it's not in the first phase, it's going to be in the second phase, so can't really share a timeline on this, but that's definitely something we're looking to, because AI is actually very powerful at telling you how to connect with different things, and so we can take these outputs from the different models and make it much easier for people to add plugins, connections to the application that way. So the first one is currently under development, the second one will come as a follow-on.
Should we, one interesting one is, obviously it's quite hard to keep up with what's happening in AI. Sometimes it feels like the advancements are happening every week. What are you most looking forward to in 2026 AI, in AI?
I mean, what we just talked about, like how AI is going to change how people adopt and use the editor. As I said earlier, I'm very proud of what we've done as a graphic visual programming tool. That being said, it's not for everyone yet. There's still a learning curve, and I think finally there is a technology here that can help us alleviate that problem by making it much more accessible for people from the get-go, by introducing a new medium that I wish had existed back in 2012 when we started, but it did not, which is the natural language medium, right? And so I'm very, very excited to see how this plays out in practice. There is so many things we can do here to make the product just more human in many ways, which is very much the mission of the company.
And what's the timeline on EU hosting? Because I know this is one that comes up a lot in the EU and over here in the UK.
Well, James is asking the tough questions.
Yeah.
I know this is something that is really important in the EU or the UK, and that's something that is definitely something we're thinking about. That being said, I can't really share a timeline on this because of all the other things. Like the landscape has changed quite a bit, and we have to put a lot of effort in introducing AI in our product. So something that if you have a large application, the problem is solved. I mean, our enterprise solutions lets you host things locally if needed. On the self-serve side, like at the lower price point, I won't share a timeline right now on the spot, but something that we're going to be working on as we think about our roadmap. One announcement actually I would love to make related to this is actually here. We just hired a new head of product. It took like some time to find the right person. I'm very excited to bring Brian on board, and I'm sure you all will have an opportunity to meet with him later today in the networking part. And so EU cluster is going to be one thing that we're looking at. The truth is there are quite a few things we want to be tackling. And so we'll have to look at the roadmap and the hierarchy of options.
Awesome. Any, yeah. We've got one there.
Hi, Emmanuel. Can I just stand, please?
Yes.
I can see you. My name is Emmanuel.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Beautiful name.
Yeah. So during the networking, I've observed that most people came from a very far distance. And most people I interacted with are also beginners who got stuck, don't know where to go or what to do next. Now from the Kelly here, I can see the per hour is $125 to get a one-to-one. So do we have any benefits being here? Like if we can get someone to see our apps and possibly give us some prescriptions on what to do next? Did you get that clearly?
I'm not sure I understood the question. Can you repeat?
So what I'm saying is that do you have a team here where we can ask questions like with our apps? We got stuck at this point. Can we get some directions on what to do next?
So we do not have a team based in the UK actually. Like so far, Bubble is a US company. We'll look at expansion at some point, but I think in the modern world you can do a lot of things remotely. So our team is here to help. If you're stuck on something, like please reach out. I will also say, though, that if you need more hands-on help, I'm a strong believer in the ecosystem. I mean, we just talked about the expert hub here as a way for people to find the right person to help them. So we're trying to create the conditions so that people can find local help from people in their local market if it's something that is important to them, I mean, or things can be done remotely. And so I would encourage you to go to the expert hub to find people who can help you here. I mean, London is a particularly active place for us. I mean, I think it's the second or third most active city for us. And so there is a lot of activity here to find some help. So it's up to you to find. We will not be able to help you as much as an agency would help you, for instance. I mean, we can't really get as much hands-on, but both options are there for you.
I want to ask you about, thank you for presentation, and I want to ask, can you disclose what model is behind this AI agent? What do you use, or do you have plans to share this information? And second one, would it be like token-based usage, or how to access it for now, and how it will be when it's public beta?
So first of all, it is public beta today, but yes, I hear the question about monetization, and I'll get to that in a minute. In terms of models, we use a mix. I mean, it's mostly going to be Anthropic and OpenAI's models, but in practice, we use the best model for the best thing. And so we don't lock ourselves in a particular architecture, and the team keeps testing things to make sure that we use the best things on the market in terms of quality and also in terms of how response time and cost. So to the monetization question, currently we're not monetizing until we are really happy with how the Bubble agent behaves in the editor, how much people use it and can do pretty much everything they need with it. We won't think about monetization. We'll start thinking about monetization at some point, or at least usage, some usage limits. AI is expensive, and so we can't just have no limit in terms of usage. The type of monetization we'll have or limits, I'm not sure yet. We'll see. I don't know if it's token. I don't know if it's number of conversations. You have many ways. We'll see when we're ready to do that, what is the best way to do things. Right now, I see a lot of changes in the market. I think everybody's trying to figure out exactly what is the best approach. And we don't need to rush here because it's not something we'll do for the next few months anyway.
Thank you. Very exciting. One question, and I'm sure you mentioned it, and I might not have heard it. The AI agent generation troubleshooting works only for apps generated with AI? Is that what you said?
Today, yes. Eventually, no. There's no. It's more of a way for us to control which applications have access to ensure that we have a gradual launch, right? So we're starting with this because these apps are usually a little bit smaller. The main challenge is the size of the application because the agent needs to have the context of the entire app to understand how it works. And the older the app and the bigger it gets, the more challenging it is for us to do that. But we'll get there. Pardon?
We have a big one.
Right. So
when can we use it?
We'll get there. Yeah, not this year. It's probably more something for early next year, but that's something we'll definitely work on. Our goal for the agent is not just to work on new applications. The goal is to really supplement you as a Bubble developer. That's I said that in the keynote. Like it's supposed to accelerate you as you're building. And so the way I see the agent is a way that it's almost a new developer on your team, to help you move faster at scale. And that's something that implies that the agent has to be able to deal with any kind of application. Just give us a little bit of time to get there.
Thank you.
Yeah, on the front.
Fede, there are also. Yeah, right there.
Thank you. So I'm working towards becoming a Bubble certified developer. I enjoy using it a lot. I used to code, and I found that just really nauseating, so I moved over to Bubble. And I just wondered, have you seen a decline in founders needing support for their apps, making the pairings, I guess, with Bubble founders and Bubble developers that come through AirDev and Bubble because of vibe coding specifically?
No, I mean, like the software market is always growing, so there's no decline. That being said, vibe coding is an alternative that did not exist before, and so people are looking at different options. So we need to make sure we're innovating quickly to be relevant in the space. One thing we've seen is that users arrive on Bubble and they expect to have the vibe coding experience that we didn't have until today. I mean, that's why I'm so excited about this launch. And so that has led to some people creating an account, getting the first app generated, and then be like, oh, this is actually not what I was expecting. So we lost some users in that part of the funnel, and I'm very confident what we're launching today will help alleviate this. One thing that I will also say, though, is that we've seen more and more people moving back from vibe coding to Bubble, because vibe coding is great for the prototyping part, but for many of the reasons I shared earlier this afternoon, like in particular, the error loops where you have to deal with this, like just the AI creating bugs after bug after bug in the code, people are actually moving back to Bubble. So it's definitely an interesting, I would say, I've been doing this for 13 years now, so I started the company back in 2012. I'm excited to have another type of solution to the problem we're solving. I'm very confident we're doing we have the right approach here, but it's also healthy to have some competition.
Hello. Over here. Hi, I'm wondering, just thinking about Bubble as a platform that allows you to get your product live, how you've seen the investor market change over the last decade in particular. Are you seeing more businesses being able to get investment, being able to sell their products, or are people still going and translating it into a code product before doing so?
For Bubble users, you mean?
Bubble users, Bubble products.
Yeah, I mean, in the first, I would say 5 to 6 years, I think building on Bubble was getting in the way of people being able to fundraise and sell their companies. I haven't heard any story like that over the last 3 years at this point. I think the idea, and in many ways, vibe coding is actually helping us. Like this idea that you can build companies without a team of engineers in a room writing code is now understood by everyone, and in particular with investors. And so we've seen quite a few activity actually from startups built on Bubble, whether they're raising money. I mean, some of them, we've seen some raising hundreds of millions of dollars actually, so pretty large investment, and some of them getting acquired. So at this point, it's not something we can track very closely, right? Because it's not always easy to know this application is raising that much. I mean, that would take a lot of time to figure this out. But we've seen a lot of activity, and at this point, it's not getting in the way of users anymore.
Test. Oh yeah. I'm over here. So how does the AI agent focus on plugin discovery? So how is it looking at how often a plugin is used, for when to recommend it, for example? Or is it, as a plugin developer, how can I make sure my plugin is in this list?
Great question. We're not there yet. Currently, like as Corinne Woodridge have shown, like the agent is working the UI. The next step is the workflow tab. At some point, we'll integrate into recommending some plugins. I can't tell you exactly how we'll be doing this. We'll do that in the way that is the most unbiased way, because I think ultimately we need the agent to be serving the user the best and being the smartest when it's about recommendation. So if I have a trick, to be recommended more by the agent, I would not share it because that can be. That means we're building it wrong if there is a trick, a way to cheat here a little bit. Ultimately, my recommendation in general and in the context of Bubble AI agent will be the same. Build something that creates value for users. If people use it a lot, the AI will pick it up and that will be recommended to users. But the AI agent recommending plugins is not something that we'll do this year. It's probably more for early next year. Yeah, we have a mic not working here. Yeah, all right. Thank you.
Okay. Say. Okay. One of the biggest pain of the designers, mostly with vibe coding, is that the vibe coding not produce an appreciable designer output. Okay, so all the apps done with vibe coding is almost the same look. Okay, and before the product developers say the AI adapt on your design system, but you mean that you can upload or reference a design system in order to use with AI, Bubble AI, or the AI will use the design system at the time of the system is inside of the app?
Currently, that's how it's going to be. Currently, Bubble AI is going to use the styles that you have. I mean, the way you define the design system in Bubble is going to be so there's the different styles, right, that you have created or were generated part of the initial app generation. It's something we'll look into at some point. We're not there yet. Ultimately, we do want apps to look great and to be easily maintainable. So we'll train, I mean, training is not the right word, but we'll ensure that the AI agent create things in a way that is scalable, meaning using styles instead of having to modify things each element one by one, and that look good, because if they don't look good, then you don't have traffic and no one is happy. So we'll have to figure out how to do this. Currently, we're building the agent so that it understands the context of your application, and so that is using the styles currently. But that's a good note for us to think about.
What about the databases system? The AI act also on database or not? Because you mentioned that AI will act on the user interface, will act on the workflows in the next sphere, but what about the databases?
Yeah, so AI today can generate the data structure of your application. It's actually a feature that is already live in the data tab. And when you do initial app generation, you're going to have also some data structure. And part of the context that the agent will know, it's going to know the data structure of your application. We're not yet in the point where it's going to start recommending adding fields or stuff like this, but that's definitely going to come with workflows because it's very related.
So I think the big releases are really exciting. I guess one thing I was going to ask is with the recent refresh of the request board, there seems like quite a lot of small, niggly parts to the Bubble platform that create frustration kind of daily, reordering option sets, kind of that sort of thing. Should we read into that there's a kind of increased focus on sort of community feedback and fixing those problems quicker? Because I think there's some things that are in the job board from last year that are still kind of there that are causing frustration.
Yes, I'm aware, and I don't think this is something we've done a great job at in the past, and so we're looking into a more systematic way to address community feedback. So it's something that we're spending actually some time now thinking about, what kind of team we need to put that together to address this. But yes, we will address that much more in the coming months and after January in particular, because it takes a little bit of time to put the right things in place. It is very important. So 100%. Regarding the idea board, you're referring that, yes, we did a refresh here because it was just becoming too much and difficult for us to manage. So we're taking a different approach with a newer version, but please keep sending us things because it's definitely, I don't want the community to think it's a black hole, where you just throw things and nothing happens, because the truth is we are actually looking at this, but we kind of had to do a little bit of a reset, hence the new version. And then, as I said, we're looking into ways to address community feedback and the little product quality issues that have gotten in the way, so things will be better.
Thanks very much. First of all, thanks for putting this on, guys. I mean, I've come in from Dubai for this.
Oh.
It's really
Thank you.
great that you're doing it. I have two questions. They're both of a commercial nature. First question relates to the mobile app platform that you brought in this year, which has been fantastic as an idea. But from a commercial standpoint, we already had a mobile version, and so we chose not to move into the integrated solution because of the additional cost. I mean, having a completely separate revenue stream or cost related to mobile from the web app, is that a long-term intention, or is that something that is just a short-term thing? The second one, much more general question. When we invest our energy and time in Bubble as business owners, obviously it's a huge risk in a sense because you're an ecosystem, but you've obviously shown through years of growth that you are reliable. But I'm curious, what's the exit plan? Is it IPO? Are you looking to be bought by Google? What is the future, the long-term future of Bubble?
Very different questions. Great questions. On the first one, so is the question, is our current monetization strategy for mobile going to stay the same? I think so, yes. There are different costs associated with... Well, just for instance, deploying things to the stores, like the build is something that requires like some special architecture that need to be maintained and paid for. Like there are various things. I would also say, when you think about the value it provides, mobile development tends to be more expensive than web development historically. Just even the cost of an engineer, a developer, is going to be more expensive for mobile than web, and so that's why we think there is an opportunity for like a different monetization here. So we'll see. You know, it's pretty new. Like we started monetizing on October 1st, so we're 2 weeks in. So I certainly don't want to make changes. So as everything, we're monitoring and making sure we have something that works both for our users and for us as a company, because the long-term success of the company, and that brings me to the second question, is critical, and so we want to make sure we find the right thing. Today, based on what I know, I don't envision major changes. That's all what I would say. But we'll keep monitoring things. I would argue, though, one thing in your case is the experience for your users will be better with the integrated solution, because it's true native. The way people have been doing native in the past, which is wrap a web version of the application and put that in the stores, has worked. It works. It's not great. I think what we have is interestingly better for users. In terms of the long-term plan for the company, I mean, I don't know. You know, we'll see what the future holds. I have always envisioned an IPO personally. You know, we've been doing that for 13 years. We've never tried to structure things in a way that makes it an easy exit for us. At this point, Josh and I have been in this, you know, for the very long time. So I'm hoping this keeps going that way. We need to ensure we keep growing, and that's the way to go. But that being said, we'll see what happens. In terms of financial stability, like we don't have any challenge here. Like we were fortunate to raise money at the right time, and so we have a very comfortable cash position to keep investing. So now my job is to just make sure we put that money to work. We keep growing the business so that, you know, we can stay relevant for the next decade and beyond.
So, Emmanuel, you've answered this question before at various other events, but what I'd like to know is, between the target segments that you focus on, startups where there's a non-technical founder who has an idea and they want to build an app, and the enterprise segment, where do you see more growth for Bubble between, let's say, 3 years ago and today? And where do you see more growth between now and 3 years from now? I remember seeing names like Seagate, Hewlett-Packard on the website. Are you seeing that large enterprise segment grow? And where do you see it 3 years from now?
Yeah, so we have an enterprise practice where we sell to large companies. One thing I would say that it's not a huge part of our business. Our focus remains on the long tail of smaller companies and innovative companies. And the reason we're doing this is because if you want to become a standard in the long term, I think it's actually important to focus on the growing companies and the Seagates of the world, like great businesses. You can have great deals with them and make money. They're still customers of us, and I hope they stay forever. But they're not growing as much as these smaller entities that are growing on us. And given that we're in a world where the software needs are growing, for us to grow with people, and have as many users as possible to become the standard, I think it's very important to focus on the smaller entities part. So that's our main focus. Now, in terms of growth, where we see growing the fastest, in terms of number of users, definitely the smaller entities. And it matters, by the way, because ultimately, I think we'll win if there are hundreds of millions of people with a bubble skill set in the world, actually. So I care about the number of users that we have, actually more than the money we make. Money is important because it helps us invest, fundraise, pay people. But the number of people that know how to use bubble is actually more important to me. So that is growing faster. In terms of revenue, enterprise, it depends on the year, but we've seen pretty good growth there because one large deal can actually meaningfully impact how much money you make. I don't know, but I'm guessing that 3 years from now, we'll see enterprise adopt newer technologies. I mean, they're just getting started, really, in this whole non-code-based programming, whether it's vibe coding or products like Bubble. So my guess that it's going to grow faster 3 years from now. But I still think 3 years from now, I'm pretty sure we'll keep focusing on, again, this long tail of users, because that's how you become a standard, and that's the goal.
Cool. I think probably the last question, and then we'll have time for questions in the networking at the end, I guess. No. Yeah.
Well, let's see how long it is, but yeah, we have a few more minutes.
Thank you for everything. Yeah, it's been great and very flexible Bubble developing apps. But so for a small concern still related to the SEO of the Bubble. So do you have any plan related to improving the SEO of the Bubble apps, dynamic apps?
Not in the short term. I mean, we improve it by improving performance. So a lot of the work we do on the back end, it helps with page load, because usually a page will have some data request, and so the faster we load the page, the better it works for Google. But we don't have a specific effort addressing SEO. So far, it's proven, I think, to be fine. One thing I will say is we have to choose our priorities, and given that people build data-rich applications, a lot of this data are not being public to the outside world. You have to be logged in. Actually, many apps don't need SEO as much as you'd think, and so that's why it hasn't been very high on the list. Also, with the emergence of LLMs and how LLMs, ChatGPT recommends things, the world is changing right now, so I kind of want to see where this is going before investing meaningful resources. I think we probably have time for one more question, actually. Yeah.
Hey, Emmanuel. My question is, ChatGPT just released an ability for businesses like Canva to be recommended in their platform, and you can move on to using Canva from ChatGPT. Do you see Bubble being something that someone could go to ChatGPT and say, I want to build an app, take me through to Bubble through their apps SDK?
One day, not too soon, I think. We want to play well with the AI ecosystem. So one thing that we want to work on sooner rather than later is exposing MCP servers for applications built on Bubble, because I think it's actually very important for our users to be able to be part of this ChatGPT ecosystem. Whether we want to let people not use the editor and just converse with ChatGPT to build something, maybe one day, but let's make Bubble AI agent first great. And so there is a little bit of time before we get there. I also think as long as the models keep recommending Bubble as a tool, which today works for it pretty well. Actually, it's a pretty meaningful source of our traffic. ChatGPT recommends Bubble pretty often. I'm happy. I don't think we necessarily need to push too hard here for some time.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks so much for so many great questions. That was fantastic. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Thank you very much. Thank you.